Now, new running brands to the channel must be like London buses, because we've been waiting a long time for one to come along, and now two have turned up at once in the form of True Motion and their latest U-TECH Vichara. Now, True Motion are a relatively new running brand to the scene, coming out of Germany, and they have their sort of own take on how a running shoe should be designed and how it should look. So they've actually got some very interesting sort of innovations and technologies going on in their latest running shoe lineup. So let's give you a bit more information about the brand and this latest road running shoe, and then I'm going to be getting them on my feet and taking them out for their first run. Welcome back everyone, hope you've all had a great start to your week, and thanks for joining us for another video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. So the other night we travelled up country to take on the fantastic Polzeath 10K that's put on by Freedom Racing, and it forms part of their summer sessions. Has to be one of the most beautiful 10K routes in the UK. So obviously I grabbed the cameras and captured it in all its glory on a lovely sunny evening down here in Cornwall. It's on such a gorgeous section of coast path. So what I've done is I've left a link for that video down in the description below in case you guys want to check it out. Right, first up, let's run you through a few stats about the new U-TECH Vichara, and I'm going to start off with the price first. And I've got to be honest, I was pretty shocked when I found out that they actually retail here in the UK for a whopping £190. Now, I know there's a lot of new innovation going on in the shoe, but that is pretty expensive for what basically is a sort of daily trainer. Weight-wise, my pair in a UK 9.5 tipped the scales at 332 grams, and they run off quite a high heel offset. So we've actually got a 10mm heel offset with a stack height of 32mm at the heel and 22mm under the forefoot. As far as the construction goes, let's start with this very interesting looking midsole design, because this actually has a lot of new True Motion tech worked into it. Starting off with this biological U-TECH, so this is claimed to give you a softer ride, perfect for centering, but True Motion also claim that it can help to reduce the risk of injuries by 50%. Now, I'm not sure about that claim if I'm honest, and I'm never a big fan of when running brands promote the fact that their shoes are going to help reduce injury, because, you know, as runners we need to do a lot of other things to help reduce the risk of injury from this sort of high impact sport that we love doing. A lot more than just buying a pair of shoes. But anyway, let's move on. They also come with this newly developed U-TECH nitrogen foam, which has helped reduce the overall weight while giving you greater softness, better sustainability. They also claim that it will help give you up to 80% more energy return. And you know, it really is an interesting looking midsole design, and I love it when brands bring new innovations and try and do things differently when it comes to their running shoe construction. So really looking forward to finding out how it feels and how it performs out there on today's run. The upper design is pretty traditional looking, so we've got this lightweight, breathable, engineered mesh construction. We've got a good amount of sort of support in the back end of that upper with a nice substantial heel cradle, although there is quite a lot of bulky padding around the ankle collar and in the heel cup, so hopefully that doesn't affect sort of heel hold and lockdown in a negative way. We've got quite a thin tongue design, but True Motion have worked in these clever little areas of sort of zonal padding where the laces pull down tight, so that should sit nice and comfortable across the top of my foot. The tongue is also gusseted in that upper, so that should give me a nice sort of secure mid-foot hold. And then finishing up, we've got a pretty standard looking lace system with some overlays around those eyelets just for a bit of extra durability. Flipping them over, you can see that we've got a really good helping of this new blend of rubber from True Motion for enhanced grip and durability. And then last but not least, we've got this biomechanical True Flex technology at the forefoot for a more natural, powerful push-off. So there you have it, the new U-TECH Vichara. It's always exciting when you get into running a new shoe from a new brand that you've never used before. So without further ado, I'm off to get ready, and let's take these out for their first run on the roads of Cornwall. Okay, so we have flown through 3 miles, 3.2 miles to be precise. And first thing we're going to talk about is fit and feel of the upper. Gotta say it, very, very comfortable straight out the box. It's giving me a real nice lockdown around my midfoot. That thin tongue, having those clever zones of padding, is very comfortable across the top of my foot, and I would say they're true to size. So in a UK 9, I've got just the right length in the toe box. I was a little bit worried about all that bulky padding around the ankle collar and in the heel, because in the past when I've run in shoes like that, I have had some slippage issues, but the hold in the heel is really good. As far as comparisons go, I would say it's fitting and feeling very similar to, say, a Brooks Ghost upper, which is definitely not a bad thing, because I think Brooks have always made a quality, nice and comfortable upper design. So good width in the toe box as well. I was a little bit worried when I tried them on at home that it'd be too wide, but actually nice and roomy in the toe, and then a really good lockdown around my midfoot. So first impressions of upper fit and feel are thumbs up from me, feeling really good. We're going to try and get in a nice steady 10k or 7 miles today. This is my first run after running Polzeath 10k the other night, and obviously in 4 days, if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I'll be lining up on the start line of the South Downs Way 100. So we're not overdoing it this week. It's a nice steady week of recovery and just keeping the legs ticking over. So like I say, a nice 7 miles today should be spot on. But let's get these miles done, we'll get back to the studio. Okay, so we are on our way home and we've just ticked past a very comfortable 6 miles in the True Motion Vichara. Gotta say it, really impressed and quite surprised with how this U-TECH nitrogen foam midsole has performed. You know, I've run in quite a few shoes with nitrogen injected midsoles, and I always think they're going to be, you know, nice and soft and bouncy, and then when I run them they actually feel quite firm. And just recently ran in the Brooks Ghost 16 and thought a similar thing, whereas these feel super comfy and it feels like it's bouncing me along and giving me a lot of energy return. So a really positive first run so far, and we've got about another mile to go till we get back to the studio. So we're going to head back, get that mile done, and then we're going to wrap this video up with a quick conclusion. Right, I am back from my first ever run in a running shoe from the True Motion brand. I managed 8 miles straight out of the box, and a very comfortable 8 miles at that. My legs felt great going into the 100 miler at the weekend, and I've got a sports massage this evening, so they should feel even better after that, and all ready to take on the ups and the downs of the South Downs Way come the weekend. As far as the U-TECH Vichara goes, lots of positives out there on today's run, and I don't know why, but I'd kind of built up an idea of how they were going to feel and how they were going to perform today, and they actually ran very differently than what I was expecting, and in a good way. So let's start off with the upper first, and you know, it really did seem to work well for my foot shape. It gave a nice roomy sort of spacey toe box, plenty of wiggle room there, while still providing a nice secure lockdown around my midfoot from this gusseted tongue, and also very secure in the heel, even though we do have quite a lot of padding there. I personally would like to see a little bit less padding. I'm not sure we need this much, but still performed well and felt super comfy, and really does feel like an upper that I could spend a long time in and have no issues. But I think the biggest surprise has to be this U-TECH nitrogen infused foam midsole. It ran a lot more comfortable than I was expecting, and they felt pretty exciting, and has to be the sort of softest, bounciest nitrogen infused foam I've had in a running shoe to date. really did feel like it was helping me along the way and returning me good levels of energy. And I think a lot of that sort of bounce comes down to this U-TECH technology used by True Motion. If I'm honest, when I first saw it, I thought it was all a little bit gimmicky, but you know, maybe I was wrong, because this midsole did feel well cushioned, springy and comfortable underfoot. I also really like the fact that the midsole is nice and flexible, especially for a running shoe with a pretty deep stack of cushioning in that midsole. I think a lot of that flex comes down to these clever grooves that have been worked into the construction, or as True Motion like to call them, their biomechanical true flex. I think that tech really does help to make the shoe feel a bit more responsive and, like I've already mentioned, a bit more exciting to run in, and more exciting than I was expecting. However, I think a little bit of a diet would be a good thing. Lose about 20 to 30 grams to get that shoe weight closer to 300 grams would be a really good thing. Although it is nice and balanced, so it didn't feel heavy to run in. I've mentioned it a few times in the video already that the Vichara really does remind me of a Brooks running shoe in so many different ways, and that doesn't really come as a surprise because the two guys responsible for starting the True Motion brand back in 2018 have actually spent some time working for Brooks Running, and Peter and Andre were actually responsible for the very popular Brooks guide rail system that's used in their GTS line of support shoes. So that kind of explains the fit and feel of this shoe. Although I've got to say it, I really did prefer the performance of the midsole on these when I compare it to the Brooks Ghost 16 that I tested and reviewed recently on the channel. This U-TECH nitrogen foam just seemed to give me a lot more comfort, felt more responsive and returned a lot more energy when I compare it to that DNA Loft 3 nitrogen infused foam used in the Brooks Ghost. So you can see it has been a positive first experience running in a True Motion shoe, but you know, it's not all rainbows and unicorns because there are a couple of things that I'm not so sure about. The first one being the fact that the shoe runs off a 10mm drop. Now for me, 10mm is quite high. I tend to prefer a 4 to 6mm offset on my running shoes. Obviously, I understand that the height of the heel on a running shoe is a super personal thing, and what works for one might not work for another. But because I'm used to that lower heel height, the 10mm heel offset on these did feel quite dominant. And lastly, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the £190 price point, which to me seems very expensive for what is a daily trainer. I think the perfect example is if we compare that price to, say, a Brooks Ghost 16 at £135, or even the Brooks Glycerin at £165. These are a lot more expensive, and all three shoes come with a very similar fitting and feeling upper, and they actually all run on a nitrogen infused foam midsole. However, I definitely prefer the feel and performance of these. I'm just not sure whether it warrants that higher price tag. And on that bombshell, it brings the video to an end. And obviously these are just my initial thoughts after that first 8-mile run in the U-TECH Vichara. And I'll be getting some more miles in the shoes once my legs are fully recovered from running the South Downs Way 100. I actually think this would be a perfect recovery shoe after that race with this nice soft bouncy midsole. Should be good for my aching, sore, fatigued feet and legs. So keep your eyes peeled. Once we got some good miles in these, we'll be back on the channel with a full in-depth review. But for now guys, really hope you enjoyed the video, really hope you found it helpful. I also hope you enjoyed seeing a new running brand here on Run4Adventure. I've actually left a link to the True Motion website in the description below, just in case you want to find out some more info on the shoes, or you want to check out what other shoes they do in their lineup. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really is a massive help to the channel. I'm off to do some stretching and some rolling to get ready for the weekend. Thanks for watching, it's really appreciated. We'll be back here very soon, and as always, stay safe and keep on running. But I think the biggest surprise was this U-TECH nitrogen midsole, you know. I think that technology really does help to make the feel bit of shoe. That doesn't really come as a surprise, because the two guys that are responsible for starting the brand True Motion back in 2018, Peter and Andre, Andre and Peter and Andre.